Hi, I'm Eddie Burke. I've been the bartender at the Hollywood Improv for 40 years, and this is my podcast, Eddie's Bar at the Improv. Welcome to Eddie's Bar at the Hollywood Improv podcast. Change that up a little bit. I'm here with my partner, Mike Carano, and I am also here with the Red Rocket.
That's right, baby.
Mr. Andrew Santino.
Yeah, baby. Hey, Eddie. How good is this, huh?
This is unreal.
I'm
happy to have you, especially 2 days after we all just celebrated my 40th anniversary of being at the Improv. And
wild.
I'm still recovering from that, as are a lot of people. I was blown away. I want to thank all the people that were here. And those of you that couldn't make it, thank you anyway.
Yeah, thanks for not coming. We didn't want you there anyway.
Yeah,
That's what I would say. You didn't come because we didn't want you there. How about that?
There you go. And it was crowded.
It was a great amount of storytelling that happened. Jay Moore had a really good story.
Oh, yeah.
A phenomenal story. But also, I think some people thought it was your birthday.
Well, I think the confusion lied in the fact that my birthday was 2 weeks before.
Sure, but...
Yeah,
but still.
That's okay. It doesn't matter. It makes no difference.
Because I was like, how did they confuse? Because it said 40th, and there's nothing 40th about you.
Whoa. Wait a minute.
I was like, who's messing it up?
40. You mean I look older than 40?
You do. You 100%.
I stopped counting at 39, and I figured like, that night, I kind of found out that I'm old.
No, you're not old. You know, how about this?
Older.
Let's say this. My grandmother always says, you reach an age in life where you feel a certain age for the rest of your life. So like my wife's grandmother used to say she felt 28 or something like that. Like 28 was her magic number, and she felt 28 for the rest of her life.
Well, that's me with 39.
39 is your number?
39 is my number. However, I do feel the feet hurt.
Well, physically, I know, but mentally you feel 39, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah,
I mean, I
think
still think the same way about women and everything else. It's
what do you think
like,
about
wow.
women?
I think like I'm 39 years old.
Yeah, you think you've got the prowess of a 39-year-old?
I'm ready, but the problem is, look at me.
What do you mean, you handsome devil? What woman doesn't like a guy who's behind the bar? I know people have said this on this podcast before, and it's really cheap, but I can't fucking believe how many things I never noticed here because I come here for years. I never noticed that said Bud Friedman improvisation. That sign to me always read improvisation because when it's dark enough in here, you can't see Bud's name atop it.
It's daytime, boy.
It blew my fucking mind. But of all the years I've been coming here, I can't believe I've never seen that said Bud's name. I always thought it said improv. When you walk by it, the light reflection at night only hits part of the sign anyway.
Improv. And that's a classic sign. That's been here forever.
I want to steal that so bad.
Longer than me. And that's means it's rotting.
Yeah, it's rotting on the inside. That's just like you. You're rotting on the inside, Eddie.
Thank you. Where are you from, Andrew?
Chicago, Illinois.
Born and raised?
Born and raised Chicago, Illinois. I left home when I was 18 to go to college. And then the moment I graduated, I got in a U-Haul truck on the 4th of July, 2006, and I moved to Southern California.
Arizona State?
Arizona State, baby. Sun Devils. Me and the Broders, babe. That was my favorite thing about running into Brody. Really? He would always go... It wasn't something I ever identified with. Like, I'm not a... I don't have college gear. I don't wear clothes from ASU. I don't know. Maybe I have a baseball cap, but I never was a guy who's like, someone goes to Alabama or something. They have Alabama shit. They have tons of it. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't have allegiance. That's never my thing.
Right.
But man, that was the one thing that always made me smile. Coming from him was he'd see me and go, Santino, Arizona State, yes. That always made me laugh because I never identified with it, but it bonded us, so I loved it. Yeah. I was so nervous to meet him when I first met him because I had known him and he didn't know me, and I was still a young comic.
Knew who he was.
Yeah, and I knew who he was, and I knew the Arizona State thing, so I said that. I said, I'm from Chicago, I'm a Cubs fan, and I went to Arizona State because I knew he was a Cubs fan, and he went to Arizona State, and that really did bond us because Brody was a tough... He had a little edge to him when he didn't know people. Do you know what I mean? Like, warmest dude on earth if you knew him.
Guy, yeah,
but if you didn't know him, he was, what's the word? Like, he was hesitant, intelligently so. He didn't, always let everybody in. Like, you had to fucking know him for him to go, I like you.
Exactly.
It wasn't easy to break into him. So
he's not the guy that you're going to sit with at the bar and open up to you for the first time if
No.
you've just met him.
Absolutely
lot of people
not.
are.
Just like how people said at your 40th birthday
Anniversary.
People, yeah, your birthday.
Either
People
way.
kept saying they thought you were mean when they first met you.
That's right, because they didn't know me.
Yeah.
It's exactly.
You were never mean to me, but you were always when we first met, when I first came around here, you were really nice to me, although you are very like stern until you got to know me enough where you didn't mind me. That's what it felt like. I was like, I don't mind him.
Well, there's like
He doesn't bother me, but I don't give a fuck either. You know what I mean?
There's two reasons for that with you. Number
Yeah.
one, you have red hair.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I had red hair,
I
so
know.
I am now jealous.
Right.
Because I don't have any hair, and what I do have is white.
The white's nice though.
That's it. The second, for me,
Yeah.
the second part is that I don't smile a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it doesn't mean I don't like you. And my
Right.
sense of humor is so, what's the word, sarcastic and stuff like
Yeah.
that. If you know me, you know I'm joking for the most part.
Yep.
You know?
I
And if
do.
you don't know me, you may not like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, they might throw you off.
It-
Yeah, you were always, but you always were. And then one time you said to me, "Oh, you look like a young Billy Burr," and that was also back when people
Oh.
Bill still had Billy as a kind of as a
Yeah, he's another one with
kind of
red
one
hair.
of his names that he used to go by was Billy. I never knew him as Billy Burr, but you knew him as
Yeah.
Billy Burr. I thought that was so wild.
Way back. When did you start doing comedy? Did you start in college?
I kind of started in college, yeah, but I really didn't get my feet wet till I moved to LA in 06. I knew I was never going to move back to Chicago because I would have just probably fucked
Froze
up.
to death.
Yeah, I would have fucked up. I would have pissed my life away and not really had any goals. I would have probably done comedy in Chicago and been like, this is fine, and never strive. So I knew if I came here, it was sink or swim. Like people always be like, oh, people that start in LA are crazy. I wouldn't have started anywhere else. I'm
Yeah.
happy I started here because I drowned a lot, but it was good for me. It was like,
It's a learning process.
that's how you figure it out. And in
Yeah.
fact, anybody I know that started in the city who lasted are very good comedians. I mean, Eric started here, is a fucking phenomenal comedian. The proof is in the pudding for people that start in LA. I know it's a hard market to start and I wouldn't suggest it, but if you have thick skin, which I did, you just take a ton of hits until you figure out how much stronger you are than your peers and you keep moving.
Yeah, you know better than I because I don't do that. But it's you have to be strong enough to go like, okay, if it wasn't funny, it doesn't mean my career is over.
Right, it's not the end of the world.
No, you can move on. You
Right.
can just you change whatever or you don't, but you go. You otherwise, if that makes you feel that way, you're
Yeah.
in the wrong business.
Yeah, no, you got to get out. Sorry about the noise. They're making my bunk bed upstairs.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
it's
can hear. Can you hear that? That's
out
funny. Yeah.
of nails.
Yeah. There.
Yeah, this,
Yeah, Eddie and I have
this-
bunk
this-
beds. We made bunk beds, and we're sleeping here together now. We're trying to save a couple of bucks.
and not tell anybody about it.
Oh, shit, my
We're a
bad.
work in progress.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't tell everybody then. But yeah, no, at this place you had to be a strong dude to come into this thing and do the strong human. Sorry, whatever. To get into this game, and I know I'll be on a
politically
blog. I'm gonna be on a
correct, yeah,
blog
yeah.
now. But also this was the first club that passed me, so this has a lot of. This place has a lot of like weight in my heart comedically. This is the first club I came to when I moved to Los Angeles.
So when you first performed here,
Yeah.
did you have what kind of special feeling did you have? Like I'm performing at the Improv. Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Fuck me. I mean, like when I moved here in 06, I was living in Long Beach on my friend's Lazy Boy, and would borrow my friend's car. I didn't have any money. I didn't have a car, and I drop him off at Commerce Casino because he was a fucking degenerate gambler. Yeah, and I drop him off, and then he'd go take me to the office. So I'd take him to the office at 10 p.m. and I'd come up here, drive to LA, and be here as long as I could, and then drive home, and I'd pick him up from Commerce Casino, and we'd go back to the apartment and hang out and tell stories about who I would see here. And back in the day, like this was so different. The rail and the wood and the corner booth and who's were always kicking it in this area. And
all the time.
So I would just sit like a weirdo and stare at people and fascinate about wanting to be a part of it, and sometimes get to sneak in the main room.
And now you are. What was the process for you getting past? In other words, what how did you first get up on stage here? How did they first see you? What
So I did the mic. Was my first thing here, and then I got on a produced show and a booker show, like an outside booker show. And Eric Abrams was the guy then.
Right.
And Eric kind of liked me. Like, I think he was kind of like, this guy's okay. And I still have the email. That's what's crazy. He passed me, quote unquote. We don't really traditionally do that here, but like, he let me have a paid improv spot, which we consider being passed as comics, on my fucking birthday.
Oh, wow.
October 16th was my birthday, and I have the email.
Oh, good for you.
Saying welcome to the Improv, and I was.
Those little mementos are.
It was huge.
Important.
It was host and then me. I should actually. I wish I. Let me see if I. But it was. He gave me the first spot on the lineup, and it was I don't know, a couple of minutes, but that meant fucking the world to me because I was like, finally, I got past it.
I have my original draft notice from New York.
Do you?
Oh yeah, with a token. They used to send you tokens because people started to say, "Well, I can't afford to get down to the draft center." So
Right.
they started sending out tokens with it, so that you're coming in on X date, and this is when you're going into the army,
Wow.
and blah blah blah.
You still have it?
I still have that because I never went. I never had to go.
Yeah, no, I know.
I was in college, so I got a deferment.
That's so nice. But by the way, you didn't really go to college, though, did you?
No,
Yeah.
I say that because
Smart.
I'm trying to get people to
Think you're smart.
think I'm a little bit smarter
Yeah.
than I am.
Yeah, but
It's-
those who know you know better.
I mean, because I'm sort of a therapist here, and
Yeah,
I want
you really
them to think
are.
I have like credentials.
Yeah,
know?
no, they should. But by looking at you, they'll figure it out. Listen to this lineup, by the way. This is the show was a host. It was a guy named Will C, who I don't quite know. Then me, I was first. I got to go up first. A guy named Tony Vinn, Sean Kelly, Alex Moore, Chris Neff, Ryan Sickler,
Wow.
and Darren Carter closed out that show.
What year was this?
This was 09. 09,
Wow.
something like that? Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, it's sometimes I forget how far back some guys go, like Darren and
Yeah.
all. It's,
October
and now
24th.
you.
09.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's wild.
That's cool, and that's a great lineup.
I'll never, like, that means the most to me. So Eric saw me and gave me a go-ahead to become a booked guy here. And I would get one spot a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, I think that's what it was back then. And I cherished the shit out of it
And
because
you-
it was
yeah.
fucking, this place was,
It was rocking.
you couldn't beat this place. It was the best. I mean, it still is a phenomenal comedy club. It's just that moment in time was so rich here for some
Yeah.
reason. It's like there's something that was going on here. I couldn't explain
Well,
it.
it's a cyclical business for the clubs.
Totally.
It's between us and the store and the Laugh Factory. It's like.
What was the last one?
I don't know. Forgot already. It's but
Body.
but they all like everybody has its kind of like heyday
Yeah.
or so to speak,
Totally.
and it goes around mainly between us and the store. And the store is crazy right now and
Insane.
And we were in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. This was you just couldn't get in here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of working its way back too, but. It's the kind of business where there's no reason everybody can't be doing good,
100%.
and that's exactly what's going.
There's enough pie to eat.
Oh yeah, there's enough pie to eat. There's enough comics to go around.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Where was your very first spot as a comic?
At the store.
At the store.
I did a store open mic, and I hated every second of it. Yeah.
Besides the mic, though.
Was
this your first?
This was my first
spot?
paid spot.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would say because I would do shows around town, and they'd give you a couple of bucks, but that was like as a courtesy, maybe. They give you $3 or a drink ticket.
Yeah.
And I guess you could count that. But my first, I would say, professional paid spot was at the Hollywood Improv, without a doubt. That was the first time I was on a lineup. I got an email of a lineup. You know what I mean? Like other shows around town, I might have done a coffee shop or something like that, and they
Right.
throw you a couple of bucks and you get a free beer or whatever. And I guess that's paid, but it's know what I mean.
I do.
Not
Yeah.
in this regard. Yeah.
Gotcha. Did you get to meet Bud Friedman?
Yeah, I did, but I'm a few times I met Bud, but he doesn't know me from a fucking hole in the wall. But
Well, yeah, he was kind of already done.
Yeah.
I guess at that point.
same thing with Mitzi at the store. I had met Mitzi for about a heartbeat of a second,
Yeah.
and she, by that point was not as hands-on anymore.
Right.
And the old manager there, Tommy, was he had kind of taken over completely talent booking. So
Yeah,
that's
well-
who I knew the most.
Growing up, who were your comedy idols?
You know, it's so funny. Everyone probably says the same ones,
Yeah,
but
mostly they do.
I mean, Eddie Murphy was the funniest guy I'd ever seen on television. I mean, it shocked me about how funny he was. And then my parents liked him, so I thought that was kind of like a bonding moment. You know what I mean? It was like a nice...
With your parents, yeah.
Yeah, my dad thought he was my mom. I mean, they think he's hilarious. I mean, it was just... He was so captivatingly funny. Mm-hmm. It was like nothing I had ever seen, you know?
Yeah.
And...
I think he's like nothing at that time. Nothing anybody had ever seen.
Yeah, so it was just kind of like he floored me.
whatever.
Like, and every other comic, as I continued on in my life, liking other comedians as I grew up into loving comedy. Like, I started to like Carlin at one point in my life. Everyone has like a phase of these comics for some reason. And
Well, these guys all...
Eddie was the standstill though. He was the strongest I'd ever seen. The most fun.
We get that a lot with him. Yeah, him.
He's the best. He's one of the best of all time.
Him and Carlin and Pryor and even Kinnison occasionally. And
Yeah, he was never my style.
No, well, he was a little crazy.
He was just it was like my like jealousy of comedy always came from if you could be goofy and be endearing, which is what Eddie did often. Like, he was very honest but could be very goofy.
Yeah.
That was like always the pinnacle of comedy to me, is like if you can do that, you know, you've got something special. And Kinnison, guys like that they're very talented guys. Like, Kinnison's a very talented guy, but
just not in that class.
he was fucking nuts. He was just he was pure energy. He was a ball of energy. He was like overt, heavy-handed. Robin Williams the same way. I respected Robin, but he was never a guy that I was like, that's the comic that it wasn't my shit.
It's funny, Robin doesn't come up that much, and I think it's because Robin was so unique, and he was such a in-the-moment comedian.
Yeah.
It was more like, most comedians aren't that way. Most comedians, you have a routine, you sort of follow it, you do whatever. But he was one of these guys that it just went from, I don't know to this day whether he ever went up prepared or not.
Yeah,
He
who knows?
Worked off of whatever was on stage, whoever was in the audience or whatever, and God knows what that mind did.
A spectacularly funny comedian. But
Unreal.
The style was, what I always admired was when somebody had a very like like when you're artfully thoughtful. I always found that, like Burr was always a guy, and still a guy, who's a friend now that I love, always loved as a comic. I thought Greg Giraldo was one of my favorites of all time. I thought he was a fucking artful, thoughtful, funny person who like really cared and crafted it well, but it was still jokes at the end of the day.
Do you feel you fashioned yourself after anybody, or do you feel your style is unique?
I think I'm pretty me. I feel like I'm pretty me. I get compared to like... Burr always is this thing that people say because I have red hair. It's fucking annoying. We're nothing alike.
Yeah.
Truly, our styles have nothing to do with one another. But other than the fact that we both take
red hair,
take risks and have red hair, it's like, well, that's any comic takes risks. I mean, I'm like any other comic, but stylistically, we are not similar in those regards. No, but I think like no. I mean, there's been people that have said that I have. A cadence similar to other comics, maybe. Like, they're like, oh, you kind of sound like so-and-so, but not deliberately, just
and that's because they have nothing else to say.
Yeah, that's
it's
it.
Like, they just want to break the ice.
Yeah, no. Yeah, people, I mean, Kathy Griffin, no, I'm kidding. No, fuck it. We're one and the same. Her and I are one and the same.
Well,
same style,
I've never
thought.
seen the two of you in a room at the same time.
I know, me, her, and Carrot Top are blending.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Well, the three of you, and you add Burr to that, and there you go.
Yeah, that's all of us.
You've done a lot of acting, too.
Yeah.
You've, I think your last well-known thing that I'm aware of was I'm Dying Up Here.
Yeah, did that for 2 years.
And how'd you start acting?
Honestly, was to fucking make money. Like, legitimately, I was so broke from comedy and so tired of working a day job, and I got into commercials first. I found a friend who knew a commercial agent, and I went in on like a meeting. I wore a sport coat. I remember I wore a sport coat. My dad had got me like one sport coat and slacks. He's like, when you get to LA, like if you need a job, and it's like, I don't think this is the kind of fucking jobs that I'm gonna get. But I wore a sport coat thinking, should I dress up for this commercial agent meeting, And I was so nervous. And then I auditioned a pretty fair amount for commercials, and I booked a couple. I booked a few. The biggest one I ever did that actually like gave me real money was this Mike's Hard Lemonade had a commercial for when the Indy 500 was going on, and they ran it
Oh, that was you?
constantly. Yeah.
I
They ran
never
it
saw it.
constantly. Yeah, come on, Eddie. They ran
Did
it
you ever see that? I
constantly. It
never
was
saw it.
incredible, and it changed my fucking life financially. I was like, it set me up. And then after that, I really wanted to try my hand at acting because I had done some theater in college, and I never knew I was gonna actually try the acting thing out here. I had always thought it'd be really fun, but I was like, I'm not good enough.
What was your first role?
The first role was God, that's funny.
A paying role, not one that you pretend to be a comedian or something.
I gotta
like
tell
that.
you, I think honestly, might have been. I want to not The Office. I did an episode of The Office, and that was pretty early on for me. But let's see here. Let's look. This is really sad that I'm fucking looking myself up. I don't know.
Thank God for these phones, huh?
I know. But the first thing I ever did was no. What am I saying? I did. There was a movie at the studio.
Sin City?
No. This thing called Henry Poole Is Here in 2008.
Oh.
It was
what's it called?
Henry Poole Is Here. It's a terrible film with Luke Wilson and George Lopez and Rhoda Mitchell, and I was like it was for the studio that I was a PA at. They let me audition to be a pizza boy, and I got the role. A guy named Mark Pellington directed it. Do you know who that is? You ever heard of that name? Mark Pellington is the guy who directed the music video Jeremy by Pearl Jam. That's right. He also did. He directed Mothman Prophecies and Arlington Road, that Tim Robbins movie.
Right.
So this guy, Mark Pellington, was a dope dude, and my pizza boy scene got cut. All I had to do was come in with a pizza. I made one joke, and I got to fuck off. And they cut it. And they sent a PA to my trailer after 12 hours and knocked on my little nugget trailer. Uh-huh. And I was sitting like on the toilet because the room was so tiny. And he was like, "Hey man, your scene's done." And I was like, "Oh, I'm up." And he's like, "No, you're going home." And I was like, "Oh, fuck, okay." And he's like, "Yeah, they're gonna pay you anyway, but you got to leave." And I was like, "Okay."
Wow.
And so I walked out. I changed my clothes, and I went and thanked the wardrobe girl. I was like, "Hey, I gave the wardrobe back." She's like, "You could have just left it in the." And I was like, "I didn't know. I never did it before." So I got nervous.
Should have gone and thanked the director too. What the hell?
Funny story. I am walking away, and he's smoking a cigarette, and he was like, "Oh, hey, you were gonna be the pizza kid?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, you're funny. I saw what you did in the room. You were very funny." And I said, "Oh, thanks, man. Well, have a good night." And he was like, do you want to just come back and I'll throw you a bone? I'll throw you something." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, obviously I want to fucking come back." So they let me come back as a hospital orderly, like a nurse in the scene where Luke Wilson, he passes out in the movie, and they just gave it to me. So I think I said one thing. I think I said like, "Sir, you can't leave your room," some dumb shit like that. And then he fell and passed out. And then we're hovering over him as he's
That's
blacking
great.
out.
That means the director obviously liked you from that audition or whatever.
I think I'll be honest and say it was one of two things. One, I think he did probably think what I said was funny in the read, and then also
the red hair.
I worked for the studio that made it I was a PA. I was a gopher, so he probably was like, "I'll give this fucking loser kid a little."
No,
you know what I mean?
I'm gonna.
I think he was also like, "This fucking poor idiot." I was making like $340 a week. Like,
I'm gonna give you more credit than that because you're giving yourself too much credit that he knew who you were.
That's right.
It's like, I guarantee you,
Yeah.
he liked the audition.
Yeah, maybe he did.
Why would he know that you were a PA unless you were working for a PA?
Unless someone goes,
on
you know,
Yeah.
he's the PA, he's the office PA for the
Ain't
studio.
happening.
Yeah,
You're none of us are that important.
That's right.
We're important in our minds, and that's
Right,
it.
right.
Because you can go through that. I did that with an audition. I went into an audition at Universal years ago. It was like a cattle call for like a cop, and I went and I'm watching everybody go in, and I said when it came to my turn, I said to the casting director, "Would you just please go in first and introduce me, and I'll come in?" And she looks at me funny, and I go like, "Okay." So I smash through the door, and I go, "Freeze, police," which is the whole line.
Yeah.
Well, two of the producers literally fell off their chair. They got scared.
Oh, shit.
Because everybody was coming in first,
Right.
and just going like, "Freeze, police," or what have you. So obviously, I didn't get the role.
Yeah. No way.
And for a year, I'm thinking this woman is never going to, and I knew her. She'll never call me in again. I probably alienated that whole little line of whoever
Right.
was in there. A year later, I run into her, or 8 months later, and we're talking, and I mentioned that, and she said, "I don't remember that." You know, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, in my mind, I was that important
Yeah.
that she was going to remember it. In reality, it's like, he's just another one of these cattle coming
yeah,
through.
you're just another number to them.
That's
Which
it.
is fine. As long as they give me money, I don't give a shit if I'm another number.
That's it.
I'll be just another number for the rest of my life to them as long as they give me money, you know?
Was I'm Dying Up Here your biggest role?
Yeah, you know, I did a sitcom in 2014 or 13 called Mixology. It was an ABC show that got canceled the first season, and then
I do remember that.
I did Yahoo's first television show, this thing, and then I did a ton of guest roles, and then I'm Dying Up Here was my largest scale thing to date. You know, being a part of things I was a part of that was incredible. I got to do Arrested Development. Like I said, I got to do The Office. I just did an episode of Curb that's going to come out this year, so that was a pinnacle for me. I met little pinnacles in my life that to me were more important than something like the Showtime show. But scale-wise, yeah, the Showtime show was the big. It was 2 seasons working under Jim Carrey as executive producer, and
Good to work with.
it was phenomenal. Yeah, he's a great dude, man.
And you had a lot of friends on that show, so that made it more
Eric Griffin's one of my
comfortable, too.
closest friends, and he was my close friend on the show itself, which was kind of wild.
I honestly only watched 1 or 2 scenes,
Yeah.
1 or 2 episodes, but my favorite scene was early on when Eric rips the hand
towel
washer
dispenser,
and
just beats the shit out of that guy. Yeah, that was a great scene.
That was
A lot of those things were real stories. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff was Jim or old comedy writers giving stories about a fight that took place, or Al Madrigal and one of our other cast members got into a fight in the show, and Al paid a homeless guy in Hormel chili to eat and shit in the other guy's van, and that was a real thing that comic did to another comic. He paid a homeless guy to eat a bunch of Hormel chili and then shit in somebody else's van. So a lot of that fun stuff was real, but that was my biggest.
Yeah, it was a little too dark for me.
Yeah, it was pretty bleak.
because I
Yeah.
was around at that time, and comedy was not that dark.
No.
They just kind of like toned it down, and it was about the store, and it was very realistic in that sense.
Yeah.
But having been there, the reality of it wasn't there.
Yeah, I think they wanted it to be a drama. I mean, first
Yeah.
of all, they sold it as a drama, and America got bought as a comedy, which was the issue, is that America assumes comedy, Jim Carrey.
Right.
They sold it as this dramatic show. To my recollection, even I thought it was going to be more of a comedy. But that's TV, dude.
Yeah.
That's the fucked up thing that people don't know is like 90% of what you do on television is completely the opposite of what you think is what it turns out to be. 10% you have a good grasp on what you think it is,
Yeah.
but 90% of it is like the editing, it's the lines, it's this, it's how they formulate these stories. It's things that are out of your control at some point. You just have to
And hurry up and wait.
sit around all fucking day to do one thing, and the whole scene changes. And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh shit, I thought we were gonna.
I
And
know
it doesn't.
the American public and my 3 listeners don't really
43.
understand. 43. Oh, okay.
We looked.
We are.
We're bumping up.
They don't understand that. Well, the reality of the situation is when you get a job and it comes off on TV, everything's wonderful in sequence and whatever. But when you actually work, and acting is great, but it is also hard.
Oh, it's a fuckload of work, man.
And you gotta hang around all day long, just like you did for that first
pizza roll, yeah.
Yeah, and then you end up not working, or you go in there for 3 seconds and you're done, and you realize, oh man, I've been here for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And that 3 seconds, I did an episode of Curb in the 2nd season.
Yeah.
And Larry and I had a 5-minute argument in the airport. And there maybe 10 seconds hit the air.
Of course.
And
how could it be anymore?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
People
And-
don't know TV time. TV
Yeah.
time is way different than real time.
Especially in when it's all ad lib,
Yeah.
and you make it up as you go.
Yeah, and also I talked to Larry about it, and he said you just weren't good. That was the other.
Well, that's the truth. The truth will out all the time.
Of course
And,
not. No, that's just the way that ball rolls.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I've been cut out and sliced away from so many things, and I don't want to be slanderous because I'm it's not like I'm not
No,
appreciative, but there's things I've done that I got sliced down to almost nothing, and it's not an ego check. I don't really give a fuck in that regard, but it's also annoying. You're like, this is annoying. Why did I
'Cause
fucking
you
put
work-
so much effort forward?
I was gonna say, you work so hard. It's not
Yeah.
like you just show up and spit out lines.
No, that whatever people's perception of that is so wrong. It's like that's the industry is the only place where people think they know exactly what's going on, but if they had to live it, they would feel uniquely different about it. You know, and they're like, these actors, they're spoiled. They da da da. Granted, some of that is true, right? Some actors are spoiled cunts, but at the same time, a lot of working actors exist in this town that just work to make a living. They spend hours and hours and hours and hours a day not doing much, but being a facilitator for a scene.
Exactly.
And then they go home.
Yep.
Steve Martin used to call his father was what's called a plumber actor in his book. I thought that was so keen. It was like, yeah, you're a plumber. You show up for work, you do your job, you go home, and that was just what people did. What's
Yeah.
up?
How you doing?
Hey.
There's a comedian that's supposed to be here. I'll go just dropping a wig off or somebody.
This is
Yeah,
hilarious.
next door.
This is funny.
Go to the back of the
Can I see
parking
the wig
lot.
real fast? Because we're on camera. We're doing this live, so we might as well. Yeah. Who is this? Whose wig is this?
Her name is...
I don't think I should put on somebody else's
Oh,
wig.
go ahead. No,
Yeah.
put it on. It'll turn your red hair blonde or whatever. This is one of those moments we'll write down.
So, like I was saying, when
This
I
is the
started,
real
when I
Andrew
started
Santino,
here,
guys.
this is who I really am. This is who I am on Saturday nights.
This is it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I have my night off, you know, and I'm like, I'm not doing comedy tonight. I'm down on Sweetser.
There you go.
Having,
and
having
Hollywood
my own
and
fun.
Sweetser. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Whose wig is this?
This wig is...
Is this a good wig? Are
Come
these
on, this
expensive?
is
You know,
Dead
wigs
Space.
are expensive. You know that, right?
That is definitely expensive.
Yeah, these are very expensive
Her
wigs.
name is... she's a comedian. Natalie Freeman or something?
don't.
know.
I'm not familiar with her.
This for me.
Maybe
Yeah, I don't know.
she's probably
Yeah, but it's right
starring
next door,
tonight.
they'll be in there. Yeah.
She's probably headlining. I don't know her
Much
name.
love, man. Thanks,
Thank
dude.
you. She's whoever she is. She's probably the headliner because I've never heard of her.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you don't know anybody. You
No,
Eddie, you
I
only
don't.
know exactly who you're supposed to know. How about that?
That and whoever I want to know.
Yeah,
That's
that's more
it.
of
I
it,
mean,
yeah.
that's like if I don't want to know you, I don't want to know you. It's like people,
Yeah.
and I think people have finally figured that out. It's
Yeah.
like so when you're talking, and I'm at the bar, and I walk away.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like a sign to stop talking.
Yeah, you're
but
done.
But most people don't.
No.
They keep talking like you're still standing there with them,
Yeah.
and it's like, and then you go back in that area, and it's like you never, you were there all the time.
Yeah.
They're 10 minutes into a conversation, and I'm not. But
I wish you could
later
bury
for that.
someone and call out someone who talks too much to you. Go ahead and do it.
Oh, who talks too much?
Who talks to a degree where you're like, why are you still talking?
Oh God, it's more customers than it is comedians.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, they just chat 'cause they're drunk.
Well, no, because a lot of people are needy. They
Ah.
have nobody else to talk to,
Right.
and I'm the one they talk to, and that's fine. I don't mind. That's for the
Yeah.
most part. But you need to understand that this is a job.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to serve drinks to other people.
Full-time job.
So when I say I'll be right back, it's kind of like a sign, stop.
Yeah.
But no. Oh, wait. I got one more thing to say. No, you don't. You're done. I'll be back. It's like people just keep on going. And again, I don't mind it. It is my job, and I enjoy talking to people.
Yeah.
Not so much you.
Right.
But
I understand
most
that.
people, it's kind of like, it's understood that that's what I'm here for. But give me a break every
Yeah,
now
let
and
him
then.
loose. Eddie
Yeah.
knows. Eddie knows. We have a wonderful relationship of when I say hello to Eddie.
Yeah,
It's
right. Mm-hmm.
very balanced. We understand where we both are that evening. That's my
Yeah.
favorite thing about you. You know when I'm having a night, and I know.
Well,
yeah.
I can tell that.
Yeah, you can feel the vibe.
with a lot of people, and I think that's kind of like one of my strengths. Seriously, is that I know when a comedian feels like, maybe it didn't go so well and stuff like that,
Or they're
because-
just in a fucking
Yeah,
bummer
but
spot.
exactly.
Mentally, you can be in a
Mhm.
bummer spot.
Exactly, it happens, and when one of you guys is like that, a lot of times it translates up there.
Oh,
because
yeah.
you can't help it.
No.
It's just there.
You shouldn't help it. I think it's part of the system
Mm-hmm.
of getting all that shit out. Side note, this place should be robbed every day. The amount of humans that come in and out of this place willy-nilly. They're so willfully that it's just
Oh, yeah.
people could take stuff and you guys wouldn't even question it. They'd go, "Oh, who you with?" You're like, "CMQ. We're supposed to
Yeah.
clear out the thing." You're like, "Yeah, fuck it. I don't even know who that is, but Keep doing it. The Comedy Store finally stopped. They put a security guard there because of that.
Oh, during the day?
You have to now. Yeah, now you have to check in, sign your name and all. Because,
oh, no kidding.
Well, that place is. This is
that's
significantly
on
more. Yeah, this is significantly more of a neighborhood comedy club bar.
Right.
That's a tourist walkthrough. Like
Yeah.
so, any asshole could just walk up to the store and go inside. It used to be so open during the day. Comics were like living. I mean, living.
Yeah.
There, you know,
Like this.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
people just
people
walking
were
in and
just
out.
living in and out of there, stealing shit constantly. You know, but they just didn't care. It was like they couldn't care enough to make a change, but they bitched about it all the time.
Yeah, that's why here I would like to say that they're a little bit more responsible, but they're not.
They're not.
It's as you see all these people walking in, anybody could do anything. This guy that just came in looking for whomever.
Yeah, the wig guy. I don't know who the fuck was that guy. Like
he's like, hey, he could be Jack the Ripper. We have no idea.
I thought he was going to sell us. I thought he was going to try to sell us wigs. He looked like he was just going to be like, "Hey man, I have a great opportunity for you guys."
You know what hurts? What hurts the most about that is I'm the only one that looks like they need a wig.
No, I think you're good the way you are. God made you special, Eddie. God made you just the way you are.
You know, he's got a wicked sense of humor.
Well, yeah, he does. Yeah, he fucking does.
What do you got going? Are you anything new?
I have a show. I have a show on FX that's going to come out on March 4 or 5. I'm so bad at fucking dates. March 4th, I believe, is when the show comes out. March 5th. March 5th. Yeah.
A series?
Yeah, on FX. Me and a guy. There's a rapper who's a comedian named Lil Dicky or Lil Dicky.
Lil Dicky, yeah.
Yeah, white Jewish kid from Philly.
Are you kidding?
Swear to God.
All right.
Yeah, it's me and him and a few other great people on the show. I'm the only stand-up that you might recognize, and actor-wise, there's not a lot of actors. It's I should say, you know what I mean by that. There's not people that I would go, you know who that is. But it should be good, man. It's about just like a white Jewish kid from Philly who wants to be a rapper that moves to Los Angeles to make his dreams come true.
How many episodes do you get?
We got
out?
10. We knocked out 10.
Cool.
It's kind of his real life story, hyperbolized, but he's very successful. Like it is the beginnings of what he actually is now, because he is very like he's got, I think a couple of his YouTube videos have over 500 million views.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, one of them has like 585 million views. So
Jesus Christ.
he's wildly famous in that world of like.
I should get him on. Maybe we'll get some more people to,
all right, fuck you,
to
Eddie.
watch
Fuck
this
you,
thing.
Eddie. I'm here right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have a podcast.
Yeah, I do. Whiskey Ginger is the name of my podcast.
I love that name.
Thank
Whiskey
you,
Ginger.
man. Inspired by this bar, of course.
Yeah. What do you do?
I sit down with people that I find very interesting. It started as just comedians, and my whole thing is like my grandfather was my hero. He loved whiskey. It's the reason I drink whiskey, and he believed that like many people do, whiskey is always the lubrication for conversation. So we would always sit, and our family would sit late at night and talk about everything over a drink. It was like such a common bond we still do. I just fucking did it 3 days ago in Chicago. But it's like that's the way we communicate as a family.
Right.
Is to sit down and have a drink and just kind of let it all out. It's really fun. Sometimes it starts fights. I'm Irish. What do you know?
That's right. That's what happens.
Sometimes it starts fights, and sometimes it turns into the best laugh of the night. And it's my ride. And
they're late.
yeah, they're always late. But that was the impetus for the show. So I started to sit down with comics. I wanted to have a drink and kind of open them up about their youth and how they came to be. Not as a comedian, but a lot of it started to go that way, but it used to just be I wanted to find out the first time you ever got drunk, and I wanted to recall those moments in high school, the first time you got into mischief, and what were the elements that added that to become typically who you are now. I mean, most of my friends
expanded from
oh
comics
yeah, now
to
we
just...
go to there's like Tony Hawk, who's probably one of the best skateboarders of all time, did the show. Danny Trejo, who's incredible. My buddy Travis Kelce, who is a phenomenal tight end, who's going to the fucking Super Bowl in a couple of days for the Chiefs. So like I've made a lot of connections in my career over people that have nothing to do with stand-up. So I'm trying my best to incorporate them on the show just as much as comics I find interesting.
Mike, have you been asked to be on this show?
No, but I wanted to know what Trejo was like.
Phenomenal.
Danny Trejo?
Training Trejo. So yeah, so a lot of guys are of course sober. You know, like my good friend our friend Nick Swartzen is sober. Many of our friends are sober now.
Right.
So they don't have to drink, obviously, but I typically still do on the show. You know,
no, that's surprising.
Yeah. Trejo is a fuck you. You facilitated, Eddie. You were the reason that I'm gonna burn. Trejo is a sober guy, but man, you wouldn't need liquor to get him to talk.
Really?
He'll tell you everything. You ask him hi, you'll say hi, and he'll tell you his whole life story.
Oh, that's
He was a
cool.
fascinating, brilliant.
Yeah.
He's probably someone who was misunderstood as a youth and
look
understood when he found out his real passion. Like people finally were like, "Oh, he's a great dude. He looks like this scary figure."
Yeah.
But he's really just a guy who
Just a nice guy.
a nice
yeah.
guy who came up a little tough, and his life taught him how to no longer live a life of crime. He found God in prison. That's what he says, and he's not uber religious, but he found out that God or whatever made him have a bigger purpose than robbing and beating the shit out of people.
Oh, good for him.
So
That's
when
great.
he got out, he started to do good deeds in his community, and it turned into a career in Hollywood. He was helping this old woman move her trash cans, and a family friend of theirs was like, "Why are you doing that?" And he's like, "I just live in the neighborhood. I want to help this older woman with her trash cans." And they had known someone who was like, they're looking for extras on this movie set right down the street in South Central California and in Los Angeles. And he went over there to be an extra. He's like, "Shit, I'll take $100."
Yeah.
And there was a fight scene. I'm telling his story, by the way. His version is much stronger than this. But there was a fight scene, and it was like a prison thing. And he was like, "That's not what fucking happens." And one of the guys was like, "How do you know?" He's like, "I've been in prison. just got out of prison like a month ago." He's like, "That's not what happens. That's fake." And then one of the guys took note of it, and stunt coordinator was like, "Can you show these guys how to actually like take a fake hit and how to like teach him how to box?" And Trejo was actually a boxer, and so was his uncle was actually a Golden Glover. And anyway, he taught these guys typical boxing technique, and that the rest is history. People after that, they were like, "We want to use you again for this other fight scene," because the way they yelled the lines was fake. And he was like, "We don't say that shit in prison." So he told them what they would say. The actor would do it, and he'd be like, "That's trash." And the guys were like, "You do it." And so he would do it, and the director was like, "Perfect.
yeah.
We're keeping that. That's real."
Ah, that's a crazy story. That's really good. But that's the reality of life, and especially in acting, you hear those kinds of stories. And I don't know Danny Trejo, but I've seen him obviously in so many things, and he's like always the guy you kind of like hate because he's the evil whatever.
Yeah.
But then I saw him in, what is that?
Machete, that one?
It was with these older guys. They were like, I don't know if they were like Travolta or something maybe.
Well, sure, really?
Like where he was.
Wild Hogs. No, I
Yeah,
have no
was it Wild- was
I
he
have
in
no
Wild
idea.
Hogs?
No, I don't know what it is. Hold on, here, let me look. Danny Trejo. This is what the internet's for. You know what the internet is, right, Eddie?
No, it's like I still have a phone with a cord.
You do?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Eddie,
I
why?
mean, how do you?
You poor fuck.
Are there new things?
Yeah, there are. This man has been over 400 titles, so it'd be
Jesus.
impossible. But I will say, Machete, From Dusk Till Dawn, he was in fucking Heat. I forgot he was in Heat.
Yeah, I saw Machete.
Machete. I don't know, man. He's been in so
Okay.
many things. This is 400 things. Now I'm mad.
Are you serious?
Now I'm like annoyed.
Wow, you're not the only one. 400.
But he's the
I've
kind of
been
guy
in
that
40.
does Machete, and then he goes to
Was he-
Dora the Explorer. He does that too.
Was he in Wild Hogs?
No.
Come on. That's what I was thinking. So I was probably thinking of somebody
Wait,
else.
maybe he was. I don't fucking know. I've never seen that movie.
I
That was
don't
just me
know.
making a joke. Well, maybe it was. Look.
Nah.
Tim Allen, Martin Lawrence, John Travolta, William H. Macy, Ray Liotta.
Not him, huh?
No Trejo in here yet.
Oh,
no,
well.
Sklar Brothers. Hey.
Sklar Brothers were in that?
Yeah, that's what it says here.
Son of a gun, I missed them. Because I saw that movie. I like the idea of that. I like us older guys taking over. It's like
You would.
being tough and stuff like that.
Well, you like
If-
what was Clint Eastwood's last movie? What was the drug? He's pushing the drugs or whatever. What was that called?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but if you
I
knew,
know. Why can't I think of the name? Whatever.
if you knew my history, you'd know, like, for real. I was talking to Mike before about, G. Riley.
Yeah.
Well, G was a student where I taught school when I was in another life before I came out here
Yes.
and started that. And that was that was in Harlem in New York. And that was where I was a dean and a behavioral counselor and
Jesus.
literally wrestled guns or knives on occasion.
How deep
So
in
it's-
Harlem were you?
Oh, all the way in.
100 and what?
149th and 7th
Holy
Avenue.
shit.
Which is now, I think, Martin Luther King
Boulevard. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it was right there. It was.
That's tough as fuck.
Yeah,
Where did you live?
Well, I lived I lived on 93rd and Columbus in New York,
Yeah.
which was a different place altogether. But I also occasionally lived with a woman in Harlem. But the things that went on. I worked with the Black Panthers. I worked, with security.
Were you their White Panther?
Pretty much. Yeah. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't that.
White Panther was here?
No, when I say worked with them, they helped me with school security.
Sure.
When some of them had kids in the school, and I was fortunate enough to have a good relationship with just about everybody. So, I was able to call on them when we needed.
When you need protection.
When it was almost every day.
With the woman you lived with in Harlem, was she a black chick or a white woman?
Yeah, she was black.
Black chick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have some flavor, Eddie.
Occasionally.
Did you date a lot of black girls?
I lived in New York. I worked in Harlem.
Yeah.
You take it from there.
Yeah, Eddie.
It's like a whole other thing. That's why I say there's a whole other life nobody knows about.
Well, tell us the fucking life,
it's
Eddie.
Like
if we don't know, then you'll be gone one day, and we'll never know that you were the white snake of Harlem. We need to know these things. You should call your nickname the White Snake of Harlem, because I think I think you were embedded in a culture that you chose, right? You were like,
right.
I want to go up there. I want to.
No, it's just I was telling Mike after the 40th anniversary party, G. Riley posted stuff on his Facebook page about this, and now some former students are getting in touch with me
Oh,
from
shit, that's wild.
45, 50 years ago. And it's the strangest but nicest thing in the world, because I haven't really been in touch with anybody since I left New York. But
all that money you owed, you fucked off real fast. You were like, I got to get out of here.
I had to get out.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you got chased out.
And I'm rarely allowed back in. I have to sneak back in. If I want to go see my family, sneak back in.
What does the mafia say? We're asking you to leave? Yeah, we're asking you to leave.
That was it. But my story will be told at some point all the way. And I'll probably get on somebody else's podcast and spit it all out.
Spit it out on this. You know what you should do is you should interview schmucks like me once in a while, and then do a solo one where you divulge all of your story.
Well, we've done a little bit of that.
Yeah, you got to do that.
We did a little bit of that.
You got to keep doing that until you get tired of it.
Yeah, well, I never get tired of talking about me, but
Yeah, we know. Like, trust me, we fucking know. We walk in and Eddie's like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." He's like, "Let me tell you how I am." And it's like, "All right, well, let it go."
Andrew, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Eddie.
I really appreciate you
You're
being
the
here.
best.
I want to give you a gift.
Oh, really?
Before you go, yeah.
You gonna punch me in the face?
One of my collector's item T-shirts. What size do you wear, my friend?
I'm a large.
You're a large.
Let him know I'm a large. I appreciate that.
This is a collector's item.
Okay.
There's only a few out there.
Who's collecting them?
Nobody.
Yeah,
That's the
okay,
problem.
good, yeah.
Nobody wants it. I've got so many.
To be a collector's item, they must be collected, but I guess they are now. Do you do like a typical sign-off? Do you guys sign off in some way?
No. I sign off like this is the Andrew Santino whiskey ginger, whatever the hell
Yeah.
your name is.
Oh, thanks for taking it serious, Eddie. Whatever the hell.
Yeah,
What a cunt.
I want my 3 listeners to.
The charm of the show.
You
go
keep
for you.
belittling your listeners. You do know there is actually people that are listening and watching the show.
I do. I'm really flattered.
Yeah, so say thank you to these people. Look at
Thank
it. Let's see the show.
people.
Let's see the
I
shirt.
appreciate it. This is the
Eddie's
shirt.
Bar at the Improv. That's great. Over
see,
a billion
this might
drinks
be-
served.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing.
How
in
many
the
people
front.
do you think you've put in AA? Honestly,
Unfortunately, quite
a
few.
bit. Yeah, I'll be the next one. Thank you for the
Thank
shirt.
you so much. I
love
really
you, Eddie.
appreciate it, Andrew.
This is what I'm going to wear into rehab when I go. I'll be wearing this.
No, you should
when
wear that
see
on
me.
your podcast.
All right, I'll wear it
Do
on my
that.
podcast.
It's
Wear it
like
on my
you
podcast.
film your
I film it at
you
the
tape
house.
it?
Yeah, I film it at my house, and then we're moving to a studio right now because
You've become so big.
I just got to get out. I don't want it in my house anymore.
Yeah.
Like Segura and those guys, they started at their house, and now they moved, and he influenced me. He was like, "You should get a studio."
Sure.
It's just a little separation of work.
You don't want to work where you,
you know?
I know. Guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And say thank you to Mr. Andrew Santino.
Thank you,
and
dude.
watch his podcast, Whiskey Ginger.
That's right.
And thanks, Mike Carano. We will see you next time. Peace.